to start with a quick Pu'uhuluhulu and then I'll dive into it. The subject we're going to cover is Hawaiian national holidays. And to me, it's such a valuable subject to know about because we celebrate everybody else in the world's holidays year-round in Hawaii. And seldom do we talk about our holidays. And there's a reason for that. And so before I dive into all of that, you know, to share Pu'uhuluhulu aloha about Laiana Kamewa. No kamopupuni o ahu mai au. Aka no kohala mai i ohana. Kololu abini yuli'i e ho pai aina. No kohala mai ko au ko makuahine molokai mai ko makuakane. You know, I'm very passionate about sharing about our national holidays because when I was younger, we didn't celebrate them. We didn't even know that they existed. And so having the opportunity to share this with you guys and the broader Lahui has been kind of a passion of mine. So mahalo you guys for coming. So aloha wau Laiana, no ahu mai. Peaches. O peaches ko uinoa.
O peaches ko uinoa.
Mai kai o peaches ko uinoa. Aloha peaches. No, mai kai. All of us. We all are. Aloha peaches. No hea mai oi peaches. Where you from? No hilo. Okay, mahalo. Aloha. Aloha.
Aloha. O leki. Malo. No hilo mai au. Aloha. O melekea. Mai au ka Maui.
Mahea ma Maui. What part of Maui no?
No, Paia ka no Lahaina. Mai Lahaina mai.
Awesome. Aloha.
O kako o kiahi ko uinoa no kona mai au.
Yeah?
No kona mai.
Oh no. Hey, mai kai. Aloha, come. National holiday. Come. Love you guys.
Aloha, o kaipo ko inoa, no Maui mai au, aka noho au wa o ahu, ki manawa, hana au me makareo kana.
Hello, we just think quick call on. I'm going to talk about our Hawaiian national holidays. We're trying to repatriotize and renormalize in our Lahui. You guys give me a quick name and where you guys from? From where? Oh, right on, my guy. On a kill. Oh, mea, yo.
Aloha, Carrie.
Aloha, Carrie. Aloha, ka'a from Makaha. Nice.
Hulu from Makaha.
Ulu, aloha. Oh, you got I know all of you here. We got Maui, Oahu, Hokokeahi. Mahalo nui Oko for coming and hopefully more will come as well. My topic is on our national holidays. And we have two big ones that I really wanted to talk about. But growing up, I was very lucky. I grew up in the Hawaiian Kingdom from Punanaleo to Kekulakaya Puni o Waiau, and then graduated. We went to our school got too big to be at Waiau, and we all moved to Anuenue in the early years. And so graduated from Kekulakaya Puni o Anuenue. So grew up in Olelo, Hawaii, and aloha aina kind of patriotic kind of things in my life. But we didn't know about our national holidays, and our school didn't know about it, and it wasn't taught. And there's a reason for that. None of my teachers knew it. There was a reason for that. There was a purposeful, intentional banning of our language, our culture, and our history in a critical time after the overthrow happened. And so I wanted to kind of share the mo'olelo of two of our huge national holidays and celebrate. I want us to normalize these celebrations because, let me guess, does everyone know when America's Independence Day is? What day is that? July 4th, yeah? And what do you guys do on Independence Day? What happens on Independence Day? Fireworks, barbecue, beach, hey, right on. All fun, good stuff. But do you know that we have our own Independence Day? We have our national holidays. And this is an exciting time to start to revive these. And so I'm gonna kind of start it with Kamehameha Ekahi. And Kamehameha Ekahi is the father of the Hawaiian Kingdom, Ko Hawaii Pai Island. Kamehameha Ekahi is from what island? Keia Mokupuni. Anybody know what Moku? Kohala, eo. Kamehameha is from Kohala, Moku o Keawe. He was really connected with a lot of this West Hawaii chiefs, so all of the chiefs, the Kona chiefs, all the way down. His Kamehameha, is the unifier of our lahui, right? So he unifies Moku Keawe first, and then he slowly goes and unifies all of the Moku. Now, what is the reason that we're called Hawaiians today? Which island won the war? Hawaii Island won, right? So in Kamehameha, Ka'iwa Kilo Moku unifies all of the lahui. We become Ko Hawaii Pai Aina, or the kingdom or the lands belonging to Hawaii. And Kamehameha, because he's a Hawaii Island chief, we're all one. Now, if Maui had won, we may all be called Mauians. You know, think about it. So we're Hawaiian because Hawaii won. Okay? So Hawaii Island, Kamehameha creates the kingdom. We're unified as one. Aloha, you guys. And one of his first acts is he wants to create a symbol. Now, in Kamehameha's campaign to unify the Pai'aina, he was close associates with the British who were coming in and out. In fact, he was so curious and excited to learn that he jumped on board a ship, he and Kiko, and they went out to sea for overnight and came back. All the other chiefs said, where's our island going? You know? But he went out, he wanted to explore. He was an explorer of knowledge. And so Kamehameha goes and he's learning, he's making connections. He makes a good relationship with Captain Vancouver. Captain Vancouver makes multiple stops in Hawaii. So Kamehameha has met him multiple times. Vancouver gives Kamehameha a flag. It's the red ensign. It looks kind of like our Hawaiian flag. It looks kind of like this flag, but the whole field is all red. And it represented the Pacific Navy. Kamehameha loved this flag. He saw it as a great exchange between nations. And he saw it as a symbol that he could use. And so he even asked Captain Vancouver to take Hawaii as a protectorate. So Great Britain would be a protectorate of the Kingdom of Hawaii. So he's being very strategic. Kamehameha is like playing konane constantly, making good alliances, making connections, and building his relationships with international powers. So he has this red ensign, and they talk about him flying that flag over his house, or when they go into war, he has that flag. So again, we didn't have flags back then. What did we use as symbols that recognize royalty? Anybody know? The kahili, my kahili were well known. We also would have different things that mark significant areas. You had la'i, you had the Pu'uhuluhulu, which marked a couple areas like the kapa ball on top of a house stick, even just house sticks by themselves. So our kupuna had markers, and now he was receiving a foreign marker, a flag. So he really liked that. Once he unified the Pai'aina, he needed a symbol that would unify all of us, because now we're no longer Hawaiians, Mauians, Hawaiians, or Ahuan. We're one nation, and so he wants to create a symbol. He wants to create a symbol that would acknowledge and would unify our people. So 1816, Kamehameha creates the High Hawaii, the Hawaiian flag. That is the first documented record of the flag being written about. And it was documented by Captain Golovin, who is a Russian sailor and captain who comes into Hawaii. There's a lot of Russian exchange, if you're not familiar with that, mo'olelo. But he comes in and he documents the flag. He says he sees the flag with the British ensign and alternating 7 red, white, and blue stripes embellic of all of the principal islands. And so he creates a flag using British's Union Jack in the top. Now, a lot of people get heartburn with this Union Jack for whatever reason, and that's why they like the other flag. But this is the flag that Kamehameha made. Now, he creates this flag because why not have the most powerful nation's most powerful navy in the world's symbol, and he felt that they were his protectorate, on our national flag. This was a symbol of the connection between this country that he believed was going to protect and take care of the kingdom. And so he creates the first High Hawaii, and there's different accounts of how many stripes, the color pattern, the order, but it all kind of go back to having the Union Jack in the upper corner and the field. Now our kingdom flag was a different size, and it was, instead of like we normally see like that, those are all 3x5 flags. That's United States standard flags. The Hawaiian Kingdom flag was 4x8 or 8x16. So the height was 1, and then the length was double the height, if that makes sense. So if it was a 4-foot height, it was 8-foot length. And so it was a slightly different flag. So Hawaiian Kingdom standard flags, they don't really make them. You have to custom order them nowadays. But luckily the state of Hawaii decided to co-opt our kingdom's flag, and we were able to still find it in existence. So this is the flag that Kamehameha creates, 1816. This is the High Hawaii. Everyone say Hi Hawaii.
Hi, Hawaii.
Hi Hawaii.
Hi, Hawaii.
Our people loved our Hawaiian flag. There's so many accounts of our people who loved our Hi Hawaii and were passionate about it. And so Kamehameha creates a flag. We have a symbol, and we have a symbol that will unify our people. So time goes on. Kamehameha, he passes away. His son Liho is now the mo'i. Liho he comes into it at an interesting time. When he is the mo'i, when he's announced as mo'i, his father has just passed. He's invited with Ka'ahumanu, his mama, kind of, his hane mama, to come and eat. Now, what is this significant? Because back then, men and women didn't eat together. But it was called the ai kapu. Everyone say ai kapu. And this was a sacred religious practice that dated way back into the day. So Hawaiian Kingdom, religion and state, those are all normal. There was no separation of church and state. That was very intertwined. And that the ceremonial process of eating was very important. So men, for example, we had to make 3 imus every day. You had a men's imu, women's imu, and 1 imu for the akua. That's why the men gotta cook. We gotta learn how to cook, engage. And that's why your uncles, they still do imu. So if you have a chance to learn, go engage from them. So the wahine didn't have to cook. It was mostly the men that did a lot of the cooking, traditional times. And so you prepared all of this, and you had the aikapu. Men would eat in one house, wahine in another house, and you give your akua, the ho'okupu, and the mana. And so you would have all of this. But when Liho comes into power, Ka'ahumanu brings him in. And there's a time when you're in mourning because Kamehameha passed away, you're allowed to have some of that ainoa, that process of where you're not in kapu, it's time to mourn. What happens was they just never opened the ai kapu up again. So he comes into a very interesting time, and the ai kapu, people say, basically ended. Now we can eat together, we pa'ina together, it's a little bit different. That's the new normal for us. But back then, that wasn't it. Liho is very progressive. He engages in learning knowledge from abroad. And in fact, he invites missionaries to come in to teach and to create the alphabet for our lahui. Very forward thinking. Our people were diplomatic, they were akamai. They were constantly making moves to better our people, just like how we're doing today. And so he goes out, and now he wants to make Hawaii an independent nation. And so he travels to Great Britain. And back then, no more plane. Can you imagine, boys? Plane ride, that's pretty long. But imagine going in a boat. You're in a slow boat, then you gotta go via train across the country. Then you gotta go on another boat to get to Europe. So they make it all the way to London. And unfortunately, he and his wife get sick. And before they're able to meet, and the king and queen up there, queen was trying to support them and malama them, but they were already getting sick. So they were sending the best doctors. In fact, the queen's doctor went to go and check on them. But our kupuna were not immune to some of the other diseases that was going on around the world. And unfortunately, Liho dies, but he was trying to make Hawaii a sovereign nation, building on that pilina with Great Britain like his father had started. So his body is returned home. He's unable to achieve that independence. And on their return home, the kingdom had received the news, and all of the flags are at half-mast. There was black kapa all over. But the flag at half-mast showed that our kupuna knew how to use flags in different ways to recognize times of the year. And this was a time of mourning. Liho passes away. And now coming into power is his younger brother, Kau'i Keauli. Everyone say Kau'i Keauli. Kau'i Keauli. Kau'i Keauli comes into power, and he's young. There's varying accounts, but he was as young as possibly 9 years old when he was more. How old are you guys, boys? 11. 13. Can you imagine being the king of the Hawaiian Kingdom at your age? Pretty cool, huh? It'd be crazy. But it's a big, huge, heavy kuleana. And so he is the mo'i of Hawaii at a very young age. He's the longest reigning monarch. Kau'i Keauli is very excited to learn. He loves learning. He loves knowledge. He loves education. And he sees that parts of around the world have awesome forms of knowledge. When Kau'i Keauli comes into power, he does things that no other ruler in the world does. Well, he does a couple things to set up for the kingdom. He creates a constitution. He gives up his absolute right of monarchy and control over the kingdom. And he gives power to the people. Something that hasn't been done in any other country voluntarily by a king or queen in any place. Kau'i Keauli is so progressive that he pushes hard for literacy. in Hawaii. He loves to read, he loves to write, and so they created an amazing literacy program. The literacy program targeted the ali'i first. Ali'i, chiefs, all of the leaders of the government, they all learned how to read and write first in Olelo, Hawaii. Then he targeted makua, parents, grandparents. He had classes for them. They would all go and learn reading and writing in Olelo, Hawaii. Then he targeted the children. Kauikeuli creates the first compulsory education program in the world. The Hawaiian Kingdom has the first compulsory education program. That is a program where students are mandated to go to school and are provided education, free education in their community. Basically the first public school system in the world. This is Kauikeuli. This is our mo'i who's doing this, who loves enlightenment, who loves education. So our people, they talk about the literacy rate just booming here. We go from 0% literacy rate to less than 20 years. The Hawaiian Kingdom is one of the highest, most literate nations in the world. We're over 90% of our population able to read and write in Olelo, Hawaii. We come from brilliant kupuna. I mean, this is amazing. I love these kind of things. And so Kauikeuli is very well-versed, very knowledgeable. He's learning about the world. Not only is he pa'a with our Hawaiian stories and our traditions and our mo'olelo and mythical stories as well, but he's also learning what's going on around the world. So that's how engaged these guys are. Remember, never have TV back then, boys. Never have internet. Forget you all. He was reading, constantly reading, engaging, learning, discussing, planning. He is starting to see Hawaii change at the same time. There's more foreign encroachment, more people trying to come in and anchor down positioning in Hawaii. So Kauikeuli, he sees this and he has the foresight. He said, you know what? My brother tried this. I'm going to try it in a different way. I'm going to send 3 representatives to go and make Hawaii a sovereign nation. So again, he made the constitution. He set up the monarchy so that it's all set up so it's looks like a legit government. Things that other countries would recognize. Kauikeuli chooses 3 representatives. I want everyone to say Timoteo Ha'alilio. Timoteo Ha'alilio, William Richards, Sir George Simpson are 3 of Hawaii's delegates that are chosen by Kauikeuli. They're tasked with the mission impossible task of going around the world to receive the signatures of the 3 most powerful countries in the world at the time: the United States, Great Britain, and France. So these 3 leave 1842. They're en route. They're on their way. They travel to America and they travel to London separately. And they're gonna meet up to finalize everything, make it pa'a. While they're in America, President Tyler agrees. He says he signs an agreement saying, once France and Britain sign, we will formally recognize your sovereignty. So America is actually the first to say, hey, we'll support your sovereignty as a nation. While they're on their mission, Hawaii comes under a little bit of turmoil. In Honolulu, there's a land dispute. Richard Charlton, who is here representing Great Britain, he's like one of the delegates living in this place. He has a land dispute with Kauikeuli. He's saying, hey, this parcel of land belongs to me. This was given to me by the prior prime minister. Well, Kauikeuli kind of goes back and forth. It tells them, no, those lands don't belong to you. They come back into the kingdom lands. And so this dispute goes for a little while, and Charlton realizes he's not getting any leverage. He's not getting any movement going forward. So he kind of wants to take matters into his own hands. So he's able to get the audience of Admiral Thomas, and Admiral Thomas is in charge of the entire Pacific. And so Admiral Thomas sends Lord George Paulet, who is a British captain, to come and investigate. Paulet is under Thomas. So Paulet, he's kind of fueled with this ideology that how can this small island nation insult my British subjects and treat them like this? So he's kind of coming with almost like an angry, almost like a determined mentality that he's gonna change things. So he comes into Honolulu Harbor. He doesn't recognize the Hawaiian flag. He doesn't do things in the normal formality of entering into a different nation. And he comes in a hostile manner, demands a meeting with our mo'i, Kauikeuli. And he wants Kauikeuli to come on board his ship to talk story with him. Now, Kauikeuli is well versed in history and knowledge. For example, the mo'olelo of Captain Cook. Captain Cook was known for doing hostage tactics throughout the Pacific. When they tried to take our mo'i hostage once a skiff got stolen, our people rose up and defended their mo'i And that's where we hear the story of the death of Captain Cook. Right down here in Kealakekua or Kapu Bay, right on this mopu. Now, he knows it, so you don't go on board the ship of somebody who's coming in a hostile manner. If it was a friendly relationship and you built that pilina, then you know, like Kamehameha, he wanted to go and explore. Kauikeule is like, no, you're coming in a very different way. You're demanding things of me. That's not a pono way you interact with a head of state. Now, they correspond back and forth via letters. Once Paulette realizes that he's not getting any leverage, any movement by Kauikeule, he gives him a final ultimatum after several weeks of this discussion. And he gives him the final ultimatum. He demands, Kauikeule, you will surrender your government and kingdom to me in the name of Great Britain, or I will open fire on the people of Honolulu. Now, this is what is known as gunboat diplomacy. He's basically taking matters into his own hands and forcing Kauikeule's hand. Kauikeule is now put into a very precarious position. Surrender the sovereignty that we're working hard to maintain and endure and still trying to establish around the world, or face a nation and a friendly country that we believe Britain was our friends. It's our ohana. We have pilina with them. But now this captain wants to open fire on my people. It's a very tough position to be in as a leader. And so he surrenders his power as a government leader, as our mo'i, under protest to Great Britain. And he has to make an announcement to our people. And he tells our people to pule, e pule no keea o kalahui. This is where we're learning Hawaiian language and resources in the Hawaiian research. These are the important things. E pule no keea o kalahui. He had to surrender our kingdom, so he tells our people to pray. Everyone say pule. Pule is power. Pule is mana. We see the pule and the mana helping us to protect this beautiful mauna and to stand up for this mauna. There's pule being sent from around the world. Kauikeule does the same thing. He's asking our people to pule for the air of our lahui, to pule for the restoration of our sovereignties, to make things pono. Now, meanwhile, Lord George Paulette, who is the captain who took over the kingdom by force, he controls now all of the government buildings. He has every single Hawaiian flag lowered, burnt, and destroyed. Now, this is the flag that our people love, Kahai Hawaii. There's a olelo no eo about our hai. It says, Kahai Hawaii. He hai ho'ai lona ia no ka holomua, ka maluhia, ka lokahi, a me ki aloha. The Hawaiian flag is a symbol of progress, holomua. The Hawaiian flag is a symbol of peace, maluhia. The Hawaiian flag is a symbol of unity, lokahi. And the Hawaiian flag is a symbol of aloha, aloha. So our people love our flag. He knows tactics. I'm gonna burn and destroy all of your Hawaiian flags. I'm gonna raise Union Jacks in its place. So he raises Union Jacks in their place. All our flags are burnt and destroyed. He controls all of the harbors. Now, he doesn't want any Hawaiian or Hawaiian ship to leave. He has control of all of it. So Kauikeule, back then, you cannot make a cell phone call or post on Facebook that the kingdom is being occupied. You have to get a letter by boat to the higher powers. So Kauikeule has to figure out a pathway to get the message out. Now, no Hawaiian was allowed on the ships. So Kauikeule gets the help of a loyal haole who agrees to carry a leather on their body. So Kauikeule, this is one account, there's different versions. In one account, Kauikeule leaves the capital of the kingdom. At that time, where was the capital in 1843? Anybody know? Lahaina, Maui, ew. Kauikeule is from the area, he's residing there. The capital is in Lahaina, and he sneaks out at night. Remember, they're controlling all of the ports. So Kauikeule sneaks out at night. And he comes to Oahu, Honolulu, and he writes the letter, pens the letter, and he gives it to this loyal haole who holds it on his chest, risking his life. And he happens to go on the same ship that Paulette is writing his report on. And he sends it. This ship goes to Admiral Thomas, Richard Thomas. Richard Thomas is in charge of the entire Pacific for the British Navy. The letter reaches Admiral Thomas. He sees Paulette's. He sees Kauike'uli's version. There's obviously some discrepancies. So he decides to investigate. He beelines it to Hawaii. He comes in, he does the normal formalities, he enters with aloha, and he is the superior of Paulette. So he can kind of control whatever moves forward. He determines things. So he comes in and he asks. He doesn't demand, he asks for a meeting with Kauike'uli. Kauike'uli, of course, accepts. He recognizes the issue. This is a friendly country that British subjects had support to. Paulette was kind of just going rogue in a sense and using gunboat diplomacy. Admiral Thomas instantly realizes the heva. And he says, he mihis to Kauike'uli. He said, we will recognize and restore your sovereignty in a formal ceremony. And so they have the ceremony at this little park in Honolulu, and beautiful park that will later become their first Hawaiian National Park. And so they have a ceremony there. It's at 11 o'clock in the morning on July 31st, 1843. Everyone say July 31st?
July 31st.
1843.
1843.
So from February 25th to July 31st of that year, the Hawaiian Kingdom was under a strange form of British occupation. They were covering Hawaii, controlling it, burning all our flags, controlling the government. Now, July 31st, Admiral Thomas promises Kauike'uli that they will do a ceremony to restore our air. And so in this ceremony, Paulette and all of the British subjects are all there, along with Kauike'uli, the royal hui and his ohana of Ali'i. The community are there. And in that ceremony, at 11 o'clock in the morning, July 31st, 1843, they lower the Union Jack and they re-raise the High Hawaii. And as they're raising the High Hawaii, 21 gun salute from Paulette's ship. He's forced to do it. From Admiral Thomas's ship, and from even Punchbowl, 21 gun salute, recognizing the raising of the High Hawaii. This day becomes known as La Ho'i Ho'i Ea. Can everyone say that? La Ho'i Ho'i Ea. La Ho'i Ho'i Ea. La meaning day, Ho'i Ho'i meaning to restore or restoration, Ea meaning sovereignty, rule, control. La Ho'i Ho'i Ea, the day that sovereignty was restored. This becomes the first national holiday in the Kingdom of Hawaii. The flag ceremony happens at 11 o'clock. Kauike'uli them travel to Koiaha'o Church. At Koiaha'o Church, there's a service with the community. He addresses the crowd, the entire crowd. And he makes his famous statement. He says, Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. Everyone say it. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. One more time. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. The sovereignty of our land was preserved through the pono actions of Great Britain and Admiral Thomas, representing the Queen Victoria at the time. So this becomes our first national holiday. That's the Hawaiian Kingdom's coat of arms saying right there. Wa mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. This triggers a huge pa'ina. Now this pa'ina is crazy, beautiful, and huge. It's a 2-week party. Not just a one-nighter, one day. 2 weeks at Kaniakapupu, which is the summer home residence of Kauike'uli. A 2-week party, and it's documented in the newspapers of how many barrels of salt pork, how many barrels of poi, so much dried fish, so many chickens, so many full-size pigs. They fed the whole nation for 2 weeks. Huge parties celebrating the restoration of our ea. This is our first national holiday. La Ho'i Ho'i Ea. Everyone say it one more time. La Ho'i Ho'i Ea. Maikai. And what day was it? 31st. What year? 1843. One more time. What day? July 31st, 1843. La Ho'i Ho'i Ea. Sovereignty Restoration Day. Now remember that Mission Impossible team that I talked about was going to America, Great Britain, and France to get the signatures? They're en route. They hear the news of Paulette taking control of the government. They realize that they have a sense of urgency now. Ha'alilio and his team, they make it, and they're able to get the signatures of Great Britain and France. They recognize Hawaii as a nation able to take control of, be their own sovereign nation. So now the Hawaiian Kingdom is recognized as a nation state, just like Great Britain, just like France, just like America. The Hawaiian Kingdom was born on November 28, the same year, 1843. Everyone say November 28, 1843. On that day, Great Britain and France signed the Anglo-French Proclamation, recognizing that the Hawaiian Kingdom government is a government capable of running their own country. This is what you need to enter the family of nations. Now the Hawaiian Kingdom is a nation state, just like those world powers. We become the first non-European American nation recognized. Basically the first non-white country. The first brown group, small islands, but are very akamai and educated in what's going on in the world, taking on their own initiative. We come from people who make the move. We make the move. We learn, we use, we get our ike, and then we apply. Kauai Keoli applied that knowledge, and Hawaii became a sovereign nation. That day became known as La Ku'oko'a. Can we say that? La Ku'oko'a. One more time. La Ku'oko'a. Maikai. La, which is day, Ku'oko'a, meaning independence. This is Hawaiian Independence Day, November 28, 1843. What day?
November 28,
1843. Oh, big the mosquitoes are on here, huh? Okay, so this is La Ku'oko'a. This is Hawaiian Independence Day. These become our two huge national holidays. The first to recognize that park that Admiral Thomas lowered the flag and raised the high Hawaii, they name it Thomas Square after Admiral Thomas. That is why it's known as Thomas Square. The original layout of the park was shaped like a Union Jack. All of the walkways were like a Union Jack if you looked at it from above. You have Victoria Street and you have Beretania. Victoria was the queen at the time. Beretania is the Hawaiianized name for Britain, or Great Britain. Beretania. So Beretania, Victoria Street, flanking Thomas Square. Again, our kupuna use names to recognize significant moments, people, or places. They named Thomas Square in honor of him, becomes the first Hawaiian Kingdom park, and now you have the names to honor that area. So our kingdom had these two huge holidays that were celebrated throughout the Pai'aina every year for 50 years. From 1843 to when? To 1893, 50 years. What happens in 1893 that really throws a wrench into everything? That is when the overthrow happens. The overthrow of our government, our aupuni. Not our nation, our governance was overthrown. 1893 begins the real illegal occupation. I'm saying that because Governor Ige is saying we're illegally occupying this little space. 1893, the illegal occupation really began. The landing of the USS Boston to support businessmen who wanted to control Hawaii. And they come in to support. Queen Liliuokalani is forced to surrender the government. Liliuokalani is also very akamai. She remembers the story of La Ho'iho'i'ea. These are our huge holidays. She was a young girl. She witnessed it. She was at the flag ceremony. She knew that if I did things the right way, I'm going to do this under protest. I'm going to file, I'm going to talk, I'm going to make the connections with their government. I'm going to talk to President Cleveland, who she has a relationship with. She does everything just like Kauai Keoli had done. She did the proper protocols, believing that our ea would be restored. America is a whole different beast. President Cleveland comes to an agreement with her, basically says that I will recognize, after going back and forth, we will restore your sovereignty if you agree to pardon all of the guys who overthrew and committed treason on your kingdom. So this is kind of, Liliu has a hard time doing that because the punishment for treason was death. And these guys are committing high treason. They're taking over the government. They're putting our queen and locking her up. So she has to kind of swallow her pride and agree to say, hey, I will pardon them if you restore. So the last actual agreement between the Hawaiian Kingdom and the United States is the Cleveland Agreement. And he was supposed to restore. That didn't happen. 1898 starts to roll around. Now, here in Hawaii, when the kingdom was overthrown, the power came under the Provisional Government. The Provisional Government were those wealthy businessmen who are trying to take control of the resources and our aupuni. These are the guys who overthrew the government. Now they make themselves the governor or the king and queen of this area. Now the provisional government is in power. Now they come under pressure. They change their name on July 4th, 1894. They become the Republic of Hawaii, with the goal of annexing Hawaii to the United States. Now they start to put in the bills. They're going to Washington, D.C., trying to make this happen. But our people, they use Aloha Aina as a rallying call. So they form the Hui Aloha Aina. Everyone say Hui? Hui. Aloha Aina. And so many of our patriots that we look up to today, James Kaulia, Joseph Navahi, Miriam Campbell, they form the Hui Aloha Aina and the Hui Aloha Aina Wahine and the Hui Kalai Aina. This group goes around the Hawaiian Kingdom and they're able to get the signatures of our people. And they're signing the Palapala Ho'opi'i Ku'e Aupuni. They're signing the signature saying we're going to resist and oppose the annexation of Hawaii. And so our people sign, we now know this as the Ku'e petitions. So they go around the Hawaiian Kingdom and they're able to collect over 85% of our population's signatures. I mean, in a time when there was no Facebook, you can't make a mass post, hey, everyone sign this online. They couldn't make phone calls, they couldn't rally that way. They had to go house to house, door to door, go via boat, walk around and get signatures, and they're able to get the signatures of almost our entire Lahui. And Aboriginal Hawaiians and Hawaiians who aren't of Koko but are Hawaiian nationals as well signed to say we oppose the annexation of Hawaii to the US. What this does is this kills the annexation bill that is in the US courts. This kills it, it stops it. Our people's Aloha Aina. We're seeing what Aloha Aina can do. Aloha Aina stopped the bombing of Kaho'olawe. Aloha Aina is going to stop the building of a telescope on our most sacred mountain that could affect our resources for our babies unborn. Aloha Aina can be that power. Aloha Aina stopped the legal annexation of Hawaii. So there was no legal annexation. When 1898 rolls around, there's a new president, President McKinley. He's pretty intent on annexing Hawaii. Even within the U.S. courts, they're arguing, there's no way we can annex this country. It's not illegal. There's no legal way to do it. We can't annex it to the guys who stole the car, basically. We can't sign over the papers to them. We can't annex it to the Republic. That's not a legal thing to do. So what they have to do is, when the Spanish-American War hits, President McKinley uses that as leverage to push the Newlands Resolution. And this is a joint resolution. Now, a joint resolution are a set of laws and rules, but they only have effect within the borders of the U.S. So the East Coast would be the Atlantic Ocean, to the West Coast of the Pacific, to Canada in the north, to Mexico in the south. Those laws only have power in there. It's a joint resolution. It's like American laws. But they were saying they're annexing our kingdom, which is a nation just like them, using that joint resolution. So the kingdom was never legally annexed. It was not. But they coerced the world and the people of Hawaii through education, through propaganda. Similar tactics going on now. Yeah. Does this look like a crazy state of emergency going on here? No, this is us learning and growing. Our babies are here. We're connecting to Aina. We're not making things up. So they were making up a story that there's turmoil in Hawaii, that you guys are now annexed to the United States. They do a fake ceremony in front of Iolani Palace. They lower our Hawaiian flag again, and they cut it up into ribbons and give it to all of the annexationists. Remember, this is our beloved flag. This is our love, our lahui. This is our hai aloha. Ka hai ho'ai lona ia no ka holomua, ka malu ia, ka lokahi, a me ki aloha. They cut it up and have it destroyed. They do a fake annexation ceremony. They pump it out in the media and the newspapers. And now their plan is to infiltrate the minds of our babies. Already in 1896, with the Republic in power, they start to ban Olelo Hawaii use. Critical. If you take away the language, you start to take away the identity of our people. So they ban the language use. They say English is the medium of education in schools. We hear all the horror stories of our kupuna getting spankings and lickings for speaking Hawaiian in school. In fact, being sent home and their parents being told that your child is speaking Olelo Hawaii in school. Scolding, spankings, discipline. They're made to wear the dunce hat and all of these things that just ridiculous today. And so they ban our language. Then, now that they're under this strange fake annexation program, they decide to inculcate American patriotism into the hearts of our people. And they create the American Nationalization Plan. It's basically an American inculcation plan to inculcate national pride to America. Now, this is a brilliant, sinister plan because we know that our babies are so influential. You plant knowledge into them at a young age, they're going to grow up and maintain that. So they realize that the best way to affect the major change we want to see, because we know the parents, the kupunas, they're pissed off, they're ku'e. But let's get to the babies. Let's plant all of these seeds of American patriotism. No longer are you going to celebrate your national holidays. Yeah, 1893 happened. They said no longer are you celebrating national holidays. In fact, La Kuokoa, they said you're not going to celebrate La Kuokoa. You don't have an Independence Day. You will celebrate the American holiday of Thanksgiving. Now, that's a new thing for us in Hawaii. We didn't know what that was. And if you ask a lot of our Native American or Turtle Island cousins, they're not going to be too excited about a Thanksgiving kind of thing because their story is a little bit different than the one everyone is told. So we're forced to recognize, and what they're doing is they're starting to put American history and culture into the normal things, even naming schools after President McKinley, Roosevelt. They're starting to change things to make it look like an American landscape. In their American inculcation plan, they had a very beautifully systematized system to say, okay, you're going to teach about our important presidents and important people. You're going to teach our important songs like the Star Spangled Banner. You're going to teach them about important historical events in America. So they had like a systematized way of planting American patriotism into the hearts of our babies. In fact, there are stories and there's pictures of all of our kids holding their hands like this. They're facing the American flag. All of the kids in the class, in the school. And they're saying, one country, one language, one flag. And you know that's not Hawaii. You know that wasn't Olelo Hawaii. And you know that wasn't our high Hawaii. They were planting that into our babies. Brilliant, sinister plan in a brilliant way. That's the power of education. So if we can flip that and start to teach you guys from young the stories of pride, the stories of ingenuity, the stories of brilliance of our people, and we plant that at a young age, when you grow up, ain't gonna be no hihia, ain't gonna be no worry. You guys are seeing this movement, Aloha Aina, not fighting, not guns. Aloha Aina and love and kapu aloha. They cannot beat. They cannot beat that. Aloha is power. So we gotta plant that with you guys now. So this American inculcation plan, we're dealing with the after effects of that. Those babies grow up to have kids. What, you think they're gonna want their babies to speak Hawaiian and get lickings like them? No, they tell them, no, you're not gonna learn Hawaiian. That's old. Don't learn the stuff of our kupuna. You don't know how to take care of that. It created a huge trauma in our people. Huge. Unprecedented. No other countries really dealt with something like that. We have a very strange form of occupation in Hawaii from the United States. It got even worse when 1959 statehood vote happened. They didn't even give sovereignty as an option. And we became a part of the United States. So even further, our stuff was getting buried. Our history. Now we don't know our holidays. We don't know about these different pieces. Even in our Hawaiian schools, they weren't learning about our history and our culture. And so it took an awakening, a renaissance. Our people started to they started to wake up. And they started to say, hey, my skin is brown. I'm Hawaiian, I'm Kanaka. We come from proud people. I hear these stories about voyaging. I hear these stories about, the thriving of our language. We hear these stories about how land is sacred. And in the 70s, we have what is now known as the Hawaiian Renaissance. This Renaissance movement was boomed up by the stopping and the fighting to stop the bombing of Kaho'olawe, to protect Kaho'olawe Ohana. In the 70s, you had Hokulea starting to get ready. Now they're ready to sail and prove that ancestral wisdom and that our kupuna have the ability to sail without using all of these modern tools. So you have Hokulea going on, reviving the pride in our people. You have Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana going on, starting to revive this nationalism of Aloha Aina, that we can stop the bombing with Aloha. Then you have the Olelo Hawaii movement. The Kaiapuni school starts to come. So people are starting to reclaim. Now, in the early 80s, like again, the holidays we didn't know about yet because we don't do the research. They're not in our history books. They're written in Olelo Hawaii. And this is where I want to bring out a special Aloha Aina patriot, Dr. Kekuni Blaisdell. Everyone say Kekuni? Blaisdell. Kauka Kekuni Blaisdell, an amazing Aloha Aina patriot and doctor, finds the research about this national holiday, La Ho'i Ho'i'ea. And he says, why aren't we celebrating? It sounds like an amazing day. A 2-week party, gatherings, restoration of our sovereignty. So he says, let's have a gathering smaller than what we have here at Thomas Square. They drink ava, which is our traditional drink. They talk story, and he starts to educate and share with those people who came about this national holiday, La Ho'i Ho'i'ea. This grows. Every year they celebrate it. Kauka Kekuni helps it grow and grow and grow. He's recently passed it on to some of our younger leadership. One of our good Hoa Aloha Aina who chained himself to the cattle grade. One of our good Kumu Aloha Aina from Halau Kumana, Imai Kalani Winchester. He passes it to him and our team to help carry this holiday and to teach it and to celebrate it. And so now we celebrate La Ho'i Ho'i'ea in our communities. Now it's starting to get back like the old stories. We hear about La Ho'i in Lahaina, La Ho'i in Wai'anae, La Ho'i in Hamakua. It's happening again. There's a reawakening of this knowledge. And so because of Kauka Kekuni, because of the push to normalize these holidays, now even within our schools are celebrating these holidays. Our schools are recognizing La Ho'i Ho'i'ea and La Ku'oko'a and doing things to acknowledge it, celebrate it. Our charter schools have been leading the way. Our immersion schools were so lucky. Remember I was telling you about none of my teachers knew about these holidays. So when I was lucky to go back to Anuenue and give back as a teacher. And when I went back, I was charged. We're gonna make huli. We're gonna change things. And I asked my kumus, who were my history teachers, like, kumu, why don't we celebrate La Ku'oko'a in school with the entire school? And my teachers didn't know, what is La Ku'oko'a? What is that? And it's not their fault. They weren't given access to this education. They didn't know that we had they didn't know we had an Independence Day. They didn't know we had Sovereignty Restoration Day. And so I gave my kumus all the research that others had done, that I had pulled together, and said, kumu, look, this is it. We gotta do this. And we had the first La Ku'oko'a at Anuenue, and we lowered the American flag, and we raised the high Hawaii. We sang Hawaii Pono'i, we sang our Mele Aloha Aina Kalananapua, we chanted, and we celebrated La Ku'oko'a. And I was kind of a little ambitious. I was a young teacher, and I was even yelling, Ku'e Amelika! And if you know what that means, it means oppose. It's a little bit too intense. And but I had like little kids chanting it, and we're yelling, Aloha Aina, Ku'e Amelika! And unfortunately, I got into trouble for that because one of the Kikis went home, and their ohana, a very strong military connection, and when they told them, oh, we celebrated a Hawaiian Independence Day, and we said Ku'e Amelika, the parents like, what is Hawaiian Independence Day? There's no such thing. And why are you saying Ku'e Amelika? So I kind of got into a little trouble for that, but it was worth it. And I also learned to tone it down just a little, because it shouldn't be about being anti anything. It should be about pro Aloha Aina. It should be about love for land. We don't have to hate. We don't have to be angry. We don't use that. What's much more powerful that we're seeing now in this movement is aloha. Let's use aloha for our people, for our place, for our history, for our language, for our heritage. Let's use that as our power. And so we see these celebrations in our schools, our charter schools celebrating them, our immersion schools celebrating them, even Kamehameha schools. Kamehameha schools. It was a beautiful celebration last year. La Ku'oko'a, 700 students in Root Ke'eli Kolani Auditorium celebrating La Ku'oko'a. All of the 9th graders prepped the laulau for all of the 8th graders. So they invited all of the 8th graders up. They had La Ku'oko'a celebration. We chanted, we learned stories, they learned the history, and then they went and had a luau after and celebrated and started to normalize. On our campus, for the first time in its history, every single flag, instead of American Hawaiian, it was High Hawaii Waleno on La Ku'oko'a. One step. That's why reclaiming our national holidays are essential. These are the steps to reclaiming our nation. Because when you learn the history, you learn the story, you can't help but feel empowered. You can't help but be proud of our kupuna and our ali'i for making these moves to preserve our nation, to make us a nation amongst nations. So we celebrate our holidays. Everyone say, La ho'i ho'i ea. La ho'i ho'i ea. La ku'oko'a. La ku'oko'a. So La ho'i ho'i ea is coming up real soon. July 31st. It'll be the 176th year of it. Here's a little La ku'oko'a shirt from a few years ago. Gotta rep it. Why not? You just stay. So this is La ho'i ho'i ea. Celebrating Anakala Imai Kalani Kalahele. And one of our Hawaiian patriots, Anakala Palani Vaughn. So we always celebrate current Aloha Aina who's still battling and one who had recently passed away. Because we know that our kupunas are the ones who watch over us and protect us in different ways. So this was the 174th a few years ago, 176. We celebrate La Ho'i Ho'i Ea throughout the Pai Aina. My friend Imai Kalani me La Ho'i, a whole month-long celebration. So Oahu has events going on the whole month of July. It's culminating this year on July 28 at Thomas Square on Oahu. Huge national celebration, the restoration of our independence. And we still, like Kaui Keoli said, let's pule for our ea. Let's pule for the protection of Mauna Kea. Let's pule for Aloha Aina to empower all of our people. This is the reawakening. This is the huli. Ige did a great job. He woke up the sleeping giant. He woke up our lahui. Our people feel that love. And there's a beautiful quote from Joseph Navahi of what is Aloha Aina, this patriot. What is Aloha Aina? He said, "O ke Aloha Aina, ka ume mageneti iloko ka pu'u o ka lahui." Aloha Aina is like the magnetic pool in the heart of the nation, always guiding you in the right direction. This Aloha Aina movement is pooling people. Not only our people, the people of the world, native people of the world, see our mauna. See it as a symbol of all of their pride as well. And they're praying for us. And this Aloha Aina is pooling our patriots. It's pooling the people who weren't always engaged, but they feel this mana, this aloha, this love for this mountain, this love for our history, our place. And it's pulling them here to the mauna. It's pulling them wherever they are to stand up, to kukia I mauna, to aloha aina. That is the magnetic pull that he talks about. That ume magnet is pulling us to aloha our aina, to aloha our people. And so we celebrate, we started by restoring our ea. And that ea comes in so many different ways. That ea is restoring our language. That ea is going back to eating our kalo, our ia, and connecting to land. That ea comes from dancing hula. That ea comes from doing anything that connects you and makes you feel proud of who you are, wherever you are. That is where you start with your ea. And that ea starts with taking care of our babies and our family. That's the real ea. So we can start to reclaim our own ea. Start to reclaim this feeling of aloha aina. And start to protect the things that matter most. Like our mountains. Like our oceans. Because if those are gone, there's no more. They don't come back. Like, we can make more money, but we can't make more Mauna Kea's, the tallest mountain in the world. And so use that aloha aina to empower us. Use that aloha aina to spread and love your families. Use that aloha aina to uplift the world. And let's celebrate our holidays. La ho'i ho'i ea, la ku'oko'a. Aloha aina kako, mahalo, mahalo. Questions? I know we're ends the formal class, but what is your name? Laiana Wong. Yeah. Again, I'm a proud graduate of the